open with security incidents in Samaria, with terrorist shootings overnight in Nablus and Hawara, and an attempted rocket fire from Jenin. Terrorists opened fire targeting a passing military vehicle overnight that was safeguarding Jewish worshippers at Joseph's tomb in Nablus. IDF soldiers opened fire, wounding one of the gunmen, who was arrested. The army confiscated an M16 rifle, improvised explosives, and a grenade. Separately, a Palestinian terrorist was wounded by Israeli gunfire during clashes that broke out in Hawara. Terrorists reportedly opened fire on Israeli forces operating in the area, who returned fire. Earlier, IDF troops entered Jenin after receiving reports of an attempted rocket launch toward Israel attempted by Hamas. The army located remnants of the rocket and its launching pad. The army is now searching for the terrorist who carried out the attempted attack. The Hamas-affiliated terror group, the Ayash Brigade, took credit for attempting the launch from an industrial zone in the Jenin area. They admitted that the plan was to target the Israeli settlement of Shaked in northern Samaria. Expert sappers gathered evidence to determine the level of explosive materials in the rocket. The latest launch attempt adds to a series of unsuccessful rocket launches from the Jenin area toward Jewish communities. Most rockets fired have fallen within Palestinian territory. The rockets have largely failed to explode or fallen harmlessly.
Experience the power of truth with ILTV News. If you're looking for quality content and captivating visuals, join our news community and become an integral part of our team as we embark on a mission to unveil the real Israel, dismantling the web of lies and misinformation that surround reporting on Israel. By subscribing to ILTV News, you will not only have access to the latest updates, but you will also amplify our message, creating a ripple effect that carries the truth far and wide. Subscribe today and help reshape the narrative. Available on the web, Android, and Apple.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant issued a joint statement defending the Israel Defense Forces and the security establishment. This following repeated attacks on the top brass from within the coalition and from the Premier's son, Yair, in recent days. ILTV's William Sharon reports.
In their brief statement, Netanyahu and Gallant said they are working in close cooperation and fully backing the IDF Chief of Staff and IDF officers to guarantee the security of the country and its citizens. Earlier, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said, "If you want to criticize the IDF, come after me." Fighting words from the Defense Minister reacting to vicious criticism to the Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi and other top military leaders by cabinet ministers and coalition members. Gallant has been trying to draw political fire away from the Army's top brass over the issue of reservists who have not shown up for training as a show of protest against the judicial reform. The Defense Minister urged both the politicians and reservists to take the Army out of political discussion, saying the IDF is the protective tool that gives life to the people of Israel. The mounting attacks came as the IDF chief reportedly voiced concern over damage to the military readiness caused by some reservists' refusal to report in protest over the controversial judicial legislation.
Leaders of United Torah Judaism Party are urging that Prime Minister Netanyahu halt judicial reform legislation until a new conscription law is passed, including exemptions for the ultra-Orthodox. The coalition is searching for a solution. ILTV's Debo Klein has the details.
Leaders of the United Torah Judaism Party have called on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to suspend all progress on judicial reform legislation until the Haredi conscription law for the IDF is passed. The Haredi parties have expressed concern that the ongoing judicial reforms are creating division and hostility, particularly regarding the conscription of ultra-Orthodox community to the IDF. The key demand from the UTJ is the indefinite suspension of the judicial reform until a broad consensus is reached with the opposition. They argue that the proposed reforms have polarized the Israeli population, prompting their reluctance to support the changes any further. While UTJ's priority is the Haredi conscription bill, they are willing to risk even the resignation of Justice Minister Yariv Levin, who has threatened to step down if the bills aren't expedited, and are urging Prime Minister Netanyahu to restart negotiations to reach a more inclusive consensus. Interestingly, while the UTJ is pushing to halt the judicial reforms, the Shas party, another Haredi coalition member, has expressed support for these changes. Shas believes that the judicial reform is a necessary step forward and sees it as an effort led by Prime Minister Netanyahu and Shas leader Knesset member Aryeh Deri. Amid these conflicting stances, both Likud and UTJ leaders have issued statements affirming their commitment to progressing both the conscription law and the judicial reform laws. The coalition Knesset members emphasize that conscription is not being forced upon anyone, and discussions are ongoing.
And joining us now is Gil Huffman from Honest Reporting and former political reporter for the Jerusalem Post. Hi, Gil. Netanyahu and Gallant spoke out in defense of the IDF chiefs. Will the members of the coalition now tune it down?
Steve, no. The more extreme members of the coalition have been given carte blanche by Netanyahu to attack the chief of staff of the IDF. And they're right now fighting a battle over public opinion in Israel. The prime minister does not want the people of Israel to think that Israel has been weakened by his own judicial overhaul plans, whereas the heads of the army, Shin Bet Mossad, are dealing day in and day out with their own fighters who don't want to serve a country that they believe is changing. And this is a battle over the narrative, and it's going to keep on getting more and more intense.
Gil, Gallant has been defending his officers. Netanyahu was a little bit slow. What's going on right now in terms of leadership?
Well, Gallant is a defense minister. It's his job to represent the army to the government and to represent the government to the army. And he has a balancing act because many of the Likud supporters who will decide whether Gallant will advance politically after this government are strong supporters of the overhaul plan. But he has to keep his army together, does not want to be seen as a person that presided over it coming apart. Netanyahu has on his shoulders the international community that's pressured him not to go too far. The credit agencies have told him to act only by consensus. And then he's got thorns at his side, whether it's more extreme or right-wingers in his government or his own son, Yair Netanyahu, who shared a post that criticized the chief of staff of the army earlier this week.
Gil, as far as you can tell, what are the current plans of Netanyahu vis-a-vis judicial reform? Where are we going?
Well, first of all, we can try to figure it out based on what he says, which is sometimes an indicator of what he'll do and sometimes not. He says that he'll move forward by consensus on every issue from now on, and that the only step he's going to actually implement is the makeup of the Supreme Court. Well, the opposition isn't going to cooperate with him on the makeup of the Supreme Court, certainly not until after the Supreme Court makes decisions about what has already been passed, the reasonableness clause that the Knesset voted to remove just a couple months ago. More decisions coming up about the power of the Supreme Court and whether the current selection committee needs to already start meeting. All this is going to be decided next month by the Supreme Court. Until then, everything is really on hold. And if Netanyahu gets a slap in the face by the court, if there's a constitutional crisis, then his hands will be tied when it comes to changing the makeup of that court.
All right, Gil, thank you for that.
Always good to be with you, Steve. Thank you.
Well, the new president of Paraguay took moments from his own inauguration to tell visiting Foreign Minister Eli Cohen that his nation plans to move its embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Paraguay made the same promise years ago, only to change its mind. More from ILTV's William Sharon.
The president of Paraguay is set to unveil his nation's embassy in Jerusalem, marking the 5th foreign embassy in the Israeli capital. The pivotal move was sealed during a high-level meeting between Foreign Minister Eli Cohen and newly sworn-in President Santiago Pena. The agreement signals a reciprocal action as Israel prepares to reopen its embassy in Osuace, Paraguay's capital. During their talks, Cohen extended an invitation to President Pena to attend the embassy's inauguration in Jerusalem, which the president eagerly accepted, demonstrating their country's growing ties. This reciprocal embassy inauguration is poised to bolster Israel's global stance and strengthen the crucial bonds between the two nations. Cohen underlined this historical significance of connection with the Latin American countries, which have constantly stood by Israel and the Jewish community. While emulating the United States precedent of relocating diplomatic missions to Jerusalem, other countries have also contemplated similar moves in recent years. Foreign Minister Eli Cohen remains upbeat about the future, expressing optimism that 3 more embassies might soon find their home in Jerusalem.
Good news for consumers. Inflation in Israel has dropped significantly. Now we are among the lowest in the Western world. The Consumer Price Index rose by 0.3% in July, but annual inflation has dropped significantly from 4.2% last month to just 3.3% currently. Prime Minister Netanyahu took a victory lap.
עוד חדשות טובות לכלכלת ישראל. האינפלציה יורדת. מחירי הדיור צומחים. האבטלה 3.3, כמעט התוצאה הטובה ביותר בעולם המערבי.
According to figures released by the Central Bureau of Statistics, the high interest rate set by the governor of the Bank of Israel has managed to keep inflation in check. Prices of fruits and vegetables rose by 3.4% and transportation prices rose slightly, but clothing and shoe prices dropped by 4.8% and furniture prices dropped by 1.2%. Housing prices dropped by 0.2% relative to April and May, and the prices of new apartments are down by 0.6%. Over the past 16 months, the Bank of Israel has sharply raised the interest rates from 0.1% to 4.75% to battle the mounting inflation. A total of 215 new immigrants arrived in Israel in what was for them an inspirational and miraculous day. All of them were welcomed by the immigrant organization Nefesh B'Nefesh. Ibo Klein has the story.
With the Israeli population ever growing, the Aliyah department has seen a staggering increase in Olim in the last 10 years. This thanks largely to one organization, Nefesh B'Nefesh. Yesterday, 215 new Olim touched down in Ben Gurion Airport aboard the 64th charter flight of Nefesh B'Nefesh, with the first being in 2002. The flight carried 22 families with 75 kids amongst them, the youngest passenger being just 4 months old. Additionally, around a quarter of yesterday's Olim are young men and women who have chosen to volunteer in the IDF. Since its inception, Nefesh B'Nefesh have been making the Aliyah dream possible. And in partnership with Israel's Ministry of Aliyah and Integration, the Jewish Agency for Israel, Karen Kayemet L'Yisrael, and Jewish National Fund USA, a total of 75,000 Jews from around the world have made it to the Holy Land.
It feels fantastic. It's a dream come true after over 20 years that we finally were able to realize it, and we worked for it, and we love Eretz Israel and all its people, and we finally get to come home and join all of you. And we're so proud, we're so happy, we're so grateful to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to the state of Israel, to all the people, and we finally get to enjoy our dreams, and then hopefully we will bring all our family and kids here too.
Co-founder and executive director of Nefesh B'Nefesh, Rabbi Yehoshua Fass, has said that Aliyah shows us that diversity exists within unity, that shared values and commitment can bind different individuals and groups together. In partnership with chairman and co-founder Tony Gelbart, the messages sent by Nefesh B'Nefesh are an inspiration to many. Among the 215 that landed on Tuesday was 77-year-old Carol Ginsburg, whose daughter Laura Ben David made Aliyah on the first Nefesh B'Nefesh charter flight in 2002. The reunion was nothing short of a tearjerker as the two embraced each other. After the ceremonial welcoming at Ben Gurion Airport, the new Olim start their journey as they begin to integrate into Israeli society with the Nefesh B'Nefesh family by their side. Welcome home.
Welcome home, and thank you to the Nefesh B'Nefesh organization for all that you do. We all know that United Hatzalah is the life-saving organization that operates in Israel. But when tragedy strikes around the world, the men and women in orange vests are always on the way to help. The head of United Hatzalah Operation Unit, Davi Meisel, tells us why.
אהלן, 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 אהלן. מיצינו. שיהיה אחלה יום. I'm Dovi Maizel. I'm a paramedic by profession. I've been in the world of EMS since 1989 as a teenager when I started volunteering on an ambulance. And I'm humbled to be part of the core group of people who started this amazing organization, United Hatzalah. Given the fact that United Hatzalah in Israel provides service to all the people in Israel, regardless of their religion or race, it represents our values of helping people when they're in need. And when disasters strike around the world, we can't just sit back and say, it's not our business. We have to see how we can help, how we can make a difference, what can we add in this catastrophic situation, be it a hurricane, be it an earthquake, a war, or whatever it is. If there is human suffering, we at United Hatzalah strongly believe this is part of our values, but not only in United Hatzalah, but I think it's part of the Israeli values in general, is to go above and beyond and around the world to see what we can do to help. First official mission, I myself personally have been in the past in disasters around the world, in Haiti in 2010. I think that the turning point for United Hatzalah was, I think, the earthquake in Nepal in 2015. So immediately the instant thought that we had was that there are going to be a lot of Israelis that are in need there. So immediately we understood that we need to mobilize a team, search and rescue, medical, etc., to go out there. Very quickly we understood that it's not only about the Israelis, this is a human disaster, and we can be beneficial not only to those Israelis who might have gone missing in this earthquake, but to the Nepalese people. We assembled a team of, I think it was about 25 members, search and rescue, medical, etc., that embarked. I actually went on what we call the GO team. We actually went out and ended up making like field hospitals that treated hundreds of people every single day. In times of disaster, we work on a number of different tiers. Number one is personal connections of people that we have on the ground, people who live there, work there, run businesses in different places in the world when disaster strikes. Second is on the national level, we coordinate with the Israeli government, assessing what resources Israel as a country, as a state are sending, and talking to either local leaders in the affected country to see what best service we can add in this situation. So if in Nepal we were talking about search and rescue and medical, in Tree of Life shooting in Pennsylvania, in that terrible terror attack there, we understood that medical assistance was irrelevant. However, bringing our psychotrauma team there would really be the game changer in bringing a significant added value to the efforts there. Two major incidents that we participated in on the international level was, first of all, the war in Ukraine, where we sent hundreds of volunteers to the surrounding countries, to Moldova, to Poland, Slovakia, and others, also putting infrastructure of aid into Ukraine and working within Ukraine, providing assistance during the war to the humanitarian relief, but also to medical response there and transporting outside of Ukraine to Europe and to Israel. And most recently was the earthquake, the tragic earthquake in Turkey, which took the lives of over 50,000 people. We sent a team of search and rescue experts as well as medical staff that assisted in the rescuing from under the rubble in the epicenter of the earthquake in Turkey. Once the mission finishes, the work isn't over. We continue working with our own team, supporting them on the emotional level. Being exposed to such tragic situations, to such human suffering, obviously takes its toll on our members, so we make sure to follow up and support them. There are always stories that go with you and grab onto you. Well, my first mission that really the story never left me was Haiti in 2010. We assisted in rescuing, I think it was 13 teenagers. And after efforts of over 16 hours of us working on the ground together with it was the Mexican rescue unit and other teams that were on the ground, we pulled out a 15-year-old girl. And she was under the rubble there. I think it was already for something like 72 hours. I have the chills when I talk about this. It is really, when we brought her out into the light, you see the smile, you see that relief of people who felt that there was no chance of surviving this, knowing that she was rescued, knowing that she will have a life afterwards. her face and this story goes with me, and it is one of the most empowering things. I think it also gives me the power to push forward these missions in understanding the importance of the difference that we make, that in thousands of people that are killed, saving one, saving two, three, for them it's a world of difference.
United Hatzalah, great work. The Israel Antiquities Authority have unveiled an ancient gate near Kiryat Gat that gives an entirely new perspective on what was going on in the land of Israel 3,300 BCE. More from ILTV's Debo Klein.
Just outside of the southern city Kiryat Gat, archaeologists have uncovered an ancient 5,500-year-old gate made of stone and mud brick. The gate served as a passageway to the ancient city of Tel Aviv, according to the Israel Antiquities Authority. This discovery holds a great significance, according to archaeologists, as they stated that the gate reflects the beginning of urbanization in the region, which is now believed to have started centuries earlier than was previously believed. Tel Aviv has been the prospect of many archaeological excavations in the past, dating back to the 1950s. Archaeologists discovered skeletal samples from Tel Aviv, which helped them understand ancient teeth and allowed archaeologists to delve into the kinds of foods that ancient Canaanites ate. Additional evidence to a thriving society in Tel Aviv is found in public buildings, city planning, and evidence of a socio-economic divide with differently sized houses. Emily Bischoff, the IAA's director of the excavation, said that this is the first time that such a large gate dating to the early Bronze Age has been uncovered. The Tel Aviv Gate discovery has also stripped the oldest gate title from the Tel Aras Gate near Beersheba. With mud brick construction being particularly susceptible to erosion and vandalism, the area was backfilled to protect the gate after the excavation concluded. Tel Aviv will likely produce many more ancient discoveries as they allow us to look into the past and, in turn, push us toward the future.
Well, 3 Israeli universities have maintained their standing among the world's top 100 institutions in the world. This according to the prestigious 2023 academic ranking of world universities published by Shanghai Rankings.
3 Israeli universities have once again secured their position among the world's top 100 institutes in the 2023 academic ranking of world universities. This prestigious ranking, released by Shanghai Ranking Consultancy, marks the 3rd consecutive year for these Israeli universities to be recognized. The Weizmann Institute of Science in Rehovot has made a significant leap, climbing an impressive 16 spots from the previous year to claim the 67th position. Similarly to the Technion in Haifa has advanced by 5 spots, securing their 78th place. However, the Hebrew University of Jerusalem has experienced a slight setback, dropping 7 places to the 85th position. The first place on the ranking list has been retained by Harvard University, marking its 21st consecutive year as the top institution. Following suit are 2 other permanent U.S. universities, Stanford and MIT. England's Cambridge University claims the 4th spot, while the University of California, Berkeley takes the 5th place. The Shanghai ranking, which has been published annually since 2003, is widely regarded as one of the most reliable indicators of academic excellency.
And now it's time to take a look at the weather forecast. Partly cloudy skies are expected tonight throughout the country with lows of around 25 degrees Celsius or 77 degrees Fahrenheit. And then tomorrow, hot conditions continue alongside partly cloudy skies and temperatures reaching highs of around 35 degrees Celsius or 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, that's all for today's news. For more updates from Israel on all your devices, check out our ILTV channels, subscribe to our ILTV newsletter, and don't forget to check out our new and improved website, ILTV.tv, with all the latest news from the heart of the State of Israel. I'm Steve Leibowitz, and thanks so much for watching.